It is finally spooky season, and I thought we would celebrate spooky season by me showing all of you one of my favorite Halloween decorations that I've actually done by myself. This is a Halloween wreath that I actually made about 4 years ago. I thought it would be really fun to show you guys how I made it because it is a very simple craft, but it just adds a lot of pop and pizzazz to either your front door or wherever you want to hang this wreath. So today I'm going to show you how I made this pretty simple but very unique yarn Halloween wreath. Well, hello everyone, this is Ashley and welcome back to my channel. Today I have one of my first craft videos to show you guys on this channel, so thank you for joining me today. Today I'm going to show you a very beloved craft that I've done before. This is a DIY Halloween yarn wreath, and first I'm going to start with showing you all the stuff that I have around me, which includes my squishmallows. But for this craft you're going to need some surface to work on. I use a plastic tub just because it helps catch the glue and other things on it, and I can just peel the glue off later, but you will need a hot glue gun, and believe me, mine is very, very hot, so be careful if you're using a hot glue gun. Next, you need some of these green foam, like wreath type things that I actually found at Dollar Tree for $1. Now, these are actually smaller than the ones that I used for the wreath I just showed you, but you can do any size that you really want. But you also need some really good scissors to work with. And of course, if you have a hot glue gun, you need some extra hot glue sticks. Now, for the most important part, you need yarn. That's what makes this wreath. It is a yarn wreath. So pick out any kind of Halloween colors that you like. I picked out a green, an orange, and a purple. So you'll definitely want to pick out colors that are going to match the theme or whatever you're going to do for your wreath. So that is going to be our main component, is the yarn and the green mold. So then on top of that, you get to do all the fun decorating stuff. So I grabbed some nice ribbon that was kind of reminded me of Beetlejuice just a little bit. It was that black and white ribbon. Then I also grabbed some orange tulle, which I have from some other crafts. I just kind of like to pile all of my things that I have on hand all together and look at them visually all together, and then I decide by that what I think I want my wreath to look like, if that makes any sense. So I know I want this to be like Halloween themed, but I just kind of like want to see what all of my stuff looks like together, and then I'll pick out some things to use. Like here I am deciding that I'm probably going to do purple and green. I might do an orange one later with some pumpkin themed stuff. Now I'm just going to lay out my options for decorations and things to put on the wreath. So a lot of these things that I have come from Dollar Tree. Believe it or not, Dollar Tree has a great selection of DIY stuff, especially wreaths. So I'm kind of laying out some stuff, and I'm kind of like, yes, I really like that black flower. I think that'll look good with the purple and green. Then I'm kind of debating on if I want purple bats or if I want to use some of my black bats. So I just kind of laid all this stuff out just to see what I thought would look pretty good with our wreath here. I did find a couple of things that you can put in like bouquets and things like that at Joann's Fabrics. They were a little bit expensive, but I think they're super cute. I might end up using these on some other wreath just because a lot of these have some orange in them as well. But I thought that little tiny broom was just adorable. So I have some extra things to do another wreath in the future. My favorite find for decorating a wreath were these metal letters or metal words, that phrases for Halloween. I found these at Dollar Tree, and I was so excited when I found them. I thought they were super cool to add to a wreath. So this one says haunted, and I could paint these too as well, but I did kind of like the silver look for them. So I found these. There's a 3-pack for just $1. There's one that says spooky, which I absolutely love. I love spooky things. And then I kind of decided on spooky, but there's the other one, beware. So I could use these for another wreath or other craft project in the future. I just thought that was a really cool find at Dollar Tree. And then I think that I finally decided on kind of what I was going for my wreath. So like I said, it kind of helps to have an idea in mind of what you want to do. I wanted to do something kind of Beetlejuice themed. Didn't work out very well, but I think the colors remind me of Beetlejuice a little bit. So it's just going to be a generic spooky lime green and purple and black wreath that I'm going to do this time. But you can feel free to choose any other colors that you want. So we're going to start with the green wreath. Now, I probably should have actually marked this out. I'm just more of a let's do it and see what happens type person. And sometimes I get frustrated at myself for that. But usually it's actually better to like mark off some lines on your wreath, maybe like divide it in half. And I do that later on, and I will show you that later on. But it's better to maybe measure out a little bit so you know how wide you want your bands of color to be, especially if you're doing multiple colors. So to start this wreath, all you do is take your hot glue, take an end of your string, whatever color you want, lay it down, and just start wrapping. And that's all we're gonna do for this yarn wreath. If you want to alternate colors, you just wrap until you feel like you have enough of one color, and then you do the next color. But like I said, it's probably best to measure this out because I don't do that. I don't like to plan ahead. And I'm sorry that I was off frame for most of this stuff, but you're just gonna wrap, and then you want to add a little bit more glue, and then wrap, and then add a little bit more glue, and wrap, and then change your color and do the same thing all over again. So that's what we're gonna do, and it's gonna be sped up, so it'll be really fast for you guys. Okay, so here's where I realized that I probably should have planned more, but you know, that's just how my life goes at this point. I actually counted all the strands that I did so that I could try to even them out. That is also an option as well. You could go ahead and wrap it and just see how many times it actually wraps, and then you could cut your yarn to match that, and then you could just have like pre-cut strands. But yeah, I didn't do that. No, I just kept going, and then I changed my method again later too. So it's all about learning. It's all about doing something different. So I've made all these mistakes so that you guys do not have to. So I thought I would be a little bit smarter and try a technique where I just measured with my fingers, didn't actually use a real ruler, and I kind of just used my fingernails to mark little indents. You can kind of see them. I did not end up using this. Maybe you guys can figure out a better way to actually use this method with like an actual ruler or something in the future. But I actually used the method later on. I'm going to show you where I just marked like the halves and then the quarters of each side, and it was a little bit easier. So just ignore this part. I don't know what I did. Okay, here we are at day 2. It took a little longer than I thought, and I finally realized that it would probably be better to split this into a half and then into quarters, and then I could do the colors according to that. So I don't have a ruler. I'm not a planning person, as you can tell. So I decided just to kind of use a straight edge and then mark on my wreath where I'd already started the 2 colors, what would be half. And then I did another half of that. So I have quarter pieces at this point. And then my goal was to do alternating colors within those quarter pieces. And then it should turn out pretty even. Obviously, this is a DIY. This is something that's unique. So it's not going to be exact. It's not going to be like factory made. So it's all about the process, right? All right, so we're going to start actually wrapping a little bit differently this time. I actually ended up taking off a little bit of the yarn because I realized that that purple and green was going to be too wide. So we're going to use this method now, and I think it worked out a lot better. All right, so I think I've pretty much gotten half done at this point. And I'm kind of satisfied with how I did this technique of kind of like meeting in the middle with the colors, and I split them into quarters. So I'm just kind of like filling them out. Of course, you will see a little bit through. So if you want to like paint the green wreath, go for it. I didn't think about telling you guys that. But if you wanted to paint the actual green wreath underneath, you could do that as well. But I think I finally have half done at this point. So I'm just going to kind of show you what it looks like. It's not completely even, but like I said, that's what makes it unique. So we're going to go ahead and skip ahead to when I've actually finished this, because it took me probably 3 hours total. And here is the finished product. So probably about 3 hours of solid work. Like I took a lot of breaks, and obviously I took a day break, but 3 hours of solid work. Here it is completed. The back obviously is going to look kind of scary, right? Because of all the hot glue, but you're just going to see the nice pretty front side. So I'm going to now decide on what I should do with the actual decorations for this. So I think it's so cute. I like those colors. Here comes the part where I'm extremely indecisive for the decorating part, so I'm so sorry about that. But I know I want to use this metal letter for spooky. I think it's really cool with the lime green and the purple, so I definitely want to keep that. And I know I really like this black dahlia clip-on flower. I like that it has silver on the petals. I just kind of wish that like it had more silver. It looks like they may have rubbed off in the store. So I'm definitely going to use those two things. So that's kind of like my base of what I want to do. Now, I'm not a like an actual decorator, I'm not an artist. I don't know anything about balance. I just know what kind of looks good to me. So this may not be your preference on how I do this wreath, but that's why I'm showing you, right? So you can make your own wreath and do it how you would like to see it. So I was kind of satisfied with that placement with those. I wanted this to be a little bit more simplistic, not necessarily like overboard type wreath. I really liked this. I think this is really cool how it turned out with this, just these two things. I do kind of mess around with a few other things later, like adding in some bats or adding in like the spider web and stuff. But I'm just going to show you kind of what I decided towards the end. So this is all about just playing around with the stuff that you have. So I did have some purple tulle that I thought I might use, but I thought that was a little bit too extra. I wanted to be very simplistic. And then I also found these really cute cutouts that I had from last year, and I tried each one of them. I really liked the ghost. He just, I don't know, he just did not fit the vibe. I thought he was super cute though, and he kind of hangs out on the wreath for a while. Kind of like he's being accepted, but then in the end I don't use him. So I'm so sorry, Ghosty. I will use you in the future in another craft video, or maybe on another wreath, and same for the cat and the spiders. So it's all about just what looks good and feels good to you. So I'm gonna leave the ghost for a while, but he doesn't make the final cut. I'm sorry. Okay, now I'm gonna show you how I did the wrap. So there's lots of different ways to hang your wreath. You can definitely look up different ways to hang wreaths and actually use wreaths. But what I decided to do is what I did for my first wreath that I did 4 years ago. I just took this more of a sturdy type ribbon. It's not really wired, but it is very stiff, and it's very glittery, so glitter got everywhere. But I'm gonna just wrap it essentially and decide about how long I want it to be. I'm gonna wrap it, and then I'm just gonna hot glue it, and it's just gonna be like a straight ribbon, and then we're gonna add a cute little bow and a hanger as well. Okay, and here is your PSA for being careful with hot glue guns. My hot glue gun, for some reason, is the same temperature as the surface of the sun, and so I literally stuck my thumb in a bunch of hot glue as soon as I pulled it out. So be extra careful. Here's me being a little bit smarter and actually using something to hold down so they can actually dry the glue. So probably use a low temp hot glue gun, or just be extra careful. Pretty please. Alright, so now that I have what looks kind of like the string of the wreath with the ribbon, it is time to make a little bow. So this is how I make my bows, especially for like Minnie Mouse ears, if you've ever wondered how to make them. Basically, you just take your ribbon or whatever you have and you fold it over itself, and then you're able just to pinch the middle and it looks like a bow. So here's me demonstrating that. If you have a different way to make a bow, go for it, but this is the way that I am just used to doing it. So I'm just gonna layer, double layer, so it is a loop, and then you just pinch right in the middle, and then you have a cute little bow. So I just kind of measured, eyeballed it. I really didn't actually use a measuring tape or a ruler like the rest of this, but it is more about aesthetics and like being pleasing to the eye. So I'm just gonna hot glue this bow together, hot gluing so it is wrapped, and then I'm going to pinch it in the middle and hot glue it, and then I'm also going to wrap a small bit of the ribbon around the middle so it actually looks like it's tied, and then hot glue it to the actual wreath. And here is the finished product. So I think it turned out pretty well. Like I said, it is a little bit small compared to the other one, but I still think that I achieved the look that I was looking for. So now the only thing left to do is actually to make a way to hang this. Like I said, if you have a different way to tie your ribbons and things like that so it actually hangs better, you can do that, but I'm a master of using whatever I have on hand, and so I'm actually on my way to get a bread tie at this point, so that's where I'm going in this part of the clip. So I'm just going to use a bread tie like I did for the one that I made 4 years ago. I'm going to take it, just loop it and twist it, so that way you can actually like mold the loop as well whenever you actually hang it on a command hook or a nail or whatever. And then I'm just going to loop the edges a tiny bit and just put a whole bunch of hot glue on it. So this actually held up for the wreath that I made 4 years ago, and I've used it every year since then. It's actually hung outside as well, so I think this is pretty sturdy. And the final wreath is done. So here we go. This is my DIY Halloween yarn wreath. What do you guys think? I think it turned out really well. It is aesthetically pleasing to me at the very least. And since I already have one, I actually made this one for my mom. So this is going to my mom. Her birthday is actually very close to Halloween, so I'm sure she'll be excited to get her own wreath because she always liked the one that I made. So be sure, guys, to let me know what you think about this. If you make something similar to this, be sure to tag me on Instagram. My Instagram is posted down below. There's 2 different Instagrams you can use, but be sure to tag me in it so I can see your awesome DIY yarn wreaths. You could even do other seasons as well. But thank you guys so much. Please leave a like and please subscribe if you're interested in any other crafts and things of that nature, and I will hopefully see you guys in another video. Bye!